Hello everyone. Good afternoon. Dear authors and invited guests, welcome to the technical session 2B. My name is Siddhyauti and I'll be the session moderator for today's session. On the behalf of Global Knowledge Research Foundation, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the 8th International Conference on Information and Communication Technology for Intelligent Systems. The 8th edition of the conference is being organized in a hybrid mode. The physical event occurred in Ahmedabad, India on 4th April 2024, and the virtual event is being held via Zoom today on 5th April. I hope you all will enjoy the knowledgeable and interactive session throughout the day. In this session, we'll have total 10 presentations, and each presenter will be given a time span of 8 minutes for the presentation, and 2 minutes will be given for the question and answers. I request all the presenters to keep a track of the time. On 7 minutes, I will be raising a gentle reminder. And also, there is another request to all the participants that you stay connected with us till the closing remarks. And if you have any questions, or any technical issues, if you face, you can contact me in the chat box. I'll be solving those issues. Now, just before we get started, uh, Nitin sir, are you with us right now?
Yes, I'm here. I hope I'm audible
Yes.
properly.
Yes, sir, you are audible. Now, just before we get started, I would like to introduce you all to our session chair for today's session, Dr. Nitin Sakre, sir. He is currently working as an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Engineering of Vishwakarma Institute of Information Technology. He has published more than 30 research articles, reputed journals with SCIE, Web of Science, Scopus Indexing. He has also published more than 100 books. He has delivered more than 50 training session programs across the globe, all over India. His research interests include data science, machine learning, computer networking, and Internet of Things. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. Now we'll proceed with the presentations.
Thank you, Siddhi.
Now the very first presenter we have today is Trushali ma'am. And the paper title they'll be presenting is on a comparative evaluation of different distance measures for determining initial seeds in the k-means algorithm. Ma'am, I request you to please start with your presentation.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to today I'm going to present my paper, a comparative evaluation of different distance measures for determining initial seeds in the k-means algorithm. My research is towards improving the efficiency of the k-means algorithm, and for that, we have worked on an algorithm which helps in identifying the initial seeds which can be input into the k-means algorithm. For calculating the initial seeds, we have proposed a new distance measure, and its performance is the topic of discussion today. My name is Trushali Jambudi, and my co-author is Savita Gandhi. I am a research student from Department of Computer Science, Gujarat University, Ahmedabad. Okay, clustering is an important feature of for analyzing data. When a huge data is presented for analysis, if we cluster data into meaningful groups, it helps us gain meaningful understanding into the data. K-means is a most widely and popularly used algorithm for clustering data into meaningful groups. For that, user is required to enter the number of clusters to be formed, and the k-means algorithm groups data in such a way that data items which are similar to each other are all present in one cluster. And similarly, multiple clusters are formed consisting of similar data items in each cluster. Now, the k-means algorithm, though it is a traditional algorithm used since long time, it suffers from certain limitations. First of all, it requires multiple runs until it obtains optimal results. Its performance, its outcome is dependent on the initial seeds. Initial seeds means while starting, the k-means algorithm takes initial certain values as initial centers. So if the algorithm is required to form 5 clusters, then randomly it will take 5 centers initially, and it will group the data across which are similar to those centers. So the centers that are the values of these centers affect the outcome of the k-means algorithm to a great extent. If we are able to input the right centers into the k-means algorithm, the optimal solution is derived very quickly. The most commonly used initial center techniques for determining initial centers are random method and k-means plus plus method. In random method, initial seeds are randomly chosen from the input data, and the k-means algorithm taking these random values forms clusters, but the random values are input multiple number of times till the sum of square error, that is the error of clustering, is minimized. In this graph, we have demonstrated two methods, random and k-means plus plus. A and B shows the outcome of random method for R15 dataset. In A method, the random initial k-means was initialized with the random method used for once. Okay, and as you can see, the centers are not properly allocated. Then in B, we have initialized the k-means algorithm with random method for 10 times. And from that, the best outcome was selected. And you can see that the centers are properly placed. The black dots indicate the center. So what I need to emphasize here is random and k-means method, k-means plus plus method are non-deterministic method. It means that every time you execute these methods, they will give you different initial seeds. Hence, the k-means algorithm is initialized multiple number of times and executed, and the most optimal outcome, that is the outcome which is having the minimal error, is selected. Okay, so now this results into a lot of heavy computational cost. If we had a method which when initialized once would give you a steady result, then you need not execute the initialize. You need not execute. I mean, you need not reinitialize and execute the k-means algorithm every time. That is a deterministic method. A deterministic method will give you a steady initial centers every time you execute it. So you need to execute it only once. You need not initialize using different values and test for optimal results. As you can see from in graph C and D, the graph C and D show the k-means plus plus method, initialization using k-means plus plus method. K-means plus plus method will select first randomly the first center, and it will select the next center, which is very far from the first center, and so on, using some distance function. So again, the k-means plus plus is also non-deterministic. So when in C we initialized using the k-means plus plus method once, the centers were not properly placed, as you can see here. And here, the improper centers are highlighted. When we again executed the k-means method by initializing with k-means plus plus method in 10 runs, the centers are properly placed. So from this we can prove two things. One is that the selection of initial seed affects the outcome of the k-means algorithm. The second is, when the initialization method is non-deterministic, you need to try inputting using different values, and you need to select the outcomes, which requires multiple executions. So here we are showing that deterministic methods will produce identical results across multiple runs, hence it will reduce the execution time. Now, we had proposed initially, we have already proposed quartile-based initialization method for the k-means algorithm, and the paper for that is already published. It is available from this link. It was published in the Indian Journal of Science and Technology in 2022. In this method, we are proposing initialization method which is deterministic. It is based on quartiles. Initially, I will have to explain this method because today's work is closely related to this. In today's work, we are also going to use the quick method. So this method is helping us find better initial centroids for the K-means algorithm. Quick is a deterministic initialization method. It needs to be executed only once. And using this method, we select initial centers from densest location. These densely populated locations are identified by quartiles. This is the methodology. We input the data set, the number of required clusters, and a limit value. What is limit? I'll explain further. We apply the quick method to generate K initial centers. At the end of executing quick method, the quick method has to be executed only once, and we will get the optimal initial centers, which are near the highly densely populated areas in the data set. Okay, and we input into the K-means algorithm, and based on that, the clusters are formed, and we get the output as K clusters from the K-means algorithm. So the quick method works based on dimensions. So if there are n attributes in the data set, we will be executing the quick method n number of times. First, we will start with the first dimension, and in the whole data set, we will determine quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3. Quartile 1 is the 25th percentile value. Q2 is 50 percentile, and Q3 is 74 percentile. Now we compute the distance. We computed distance. Now for this we have proposed a unique distance function, novel distance function, which is the topic of study for today. And based on this distance function, we compute the density. Density is how many points are in the vicinity of a particular center. The initial centers are Q1, Q2, Q3, and we will calculate that how many points are close to each of these values. Once we determine this, we store the center as well as their density in a list. Now, if the K, that is the number of clusters to be formed, is less than 3, in that case, our iteration will terminate because we have already got 3 centers in the first iteration. We need not proceed further, and this helps in gaining a lot of speed. Now, if the number of clusters required is more than 3, in that case, we have got 3 centers. So we divide our data into 3 parts, where the first part is from minimum to Q1, the second part is from Q2 to Q1 to Q3, and the third part is from Q3 to maximum. Now, once we get these 3 parts, again we repeat the above process of dividing each section, computing 3 quartiles, then calculating the points which are close to these quartiles, and storing these centers as well as their density in the list. So at the end, we will continue until the limit is reached. Limit is that any center is found where the number of points close to the center is less than 10% of the total data points. Okay, that means we have got this indicates that we have got very small clusters which are not required. We need not go further because the clusters would be too small for us to consider. Okay, and if the desired number of K is not achieved by then, in that case, we will ignore the limit value and we will keep on further dividing. All right, at the end of the iteration, what we do is, for each dimension, the densest quartile will form the first center, the second densest will form the second center, and so on. So we will get the highly dense center on the top.
Extremely sorry to interrupt you in between, but the presentation time, we've already passed the presentation time. Can you please wrap it up a bit so that we can proceed to the Q&A?
Okay, ma'am, I need 5 minutes because actually I'm trying to increase the speed. So this is the, I'll wrap up as early as possible. This is on which the density, the nearness of each data point to the quartile is calculated. So what we do is, for each point in the dimension, we check its closeness to a particular quartile. So P1 is the data point. We will check whether it is closer to Q1, Q2, or Q3. It will be assigned to the center to which it is closest. This we do for all data points. So this is the distance function that we have proposed, and that is the topic of study for today. In this research, what we have done is we have tried to prove the usefulness or the performance efficiency of our proposed distance metric. We have applied our novel distance metric in the quick, and we have compared its performance by applying Euclidean, Manhattan, and Chebyshev distance measures. So this is the proposed methodology. We input the dataset limit and k as usual in the quick method. Then we select the distance function that we need, whether we need to apply our novel distance metric, Euclidean, Manhattan, or Chebyshev. And then we execute the quick algorithm to generate centers. The centers which are generated are then input into the k-means algorithm, and the clusters are formed. Now the output that we get, the total computation time of performing the quick using different distance measures and clubbing it with the k-means and getting the clusters, that is compared with each time with each of the distance when each of the distance measures is used in the quick method. So this is, we have used data sets from the UCI machine learning repository. These are the data sets. Again, this is the novel distance which I skipped. Now, first we are comparing the CPU time. Here we are trying to prove that when we use our novel distance metric, we are getting a lot of gain in the CPU time. Okay, this is comparison of CPU time for different distance metrics. When we use the Euclidean, Chebyshev, and Manhattan and our novel distance metric in the quick algorithm. As you can see, for most of the cases, our distance metric is either giving comparable time or lesser time compared to the other distance metrics. As you can see here, there is a sufficient time gain. Then here also we are gaining a lot of time. Here also, so in most of the data sets, we are able to achieve reduced CPU time when our novel distance function is used. This is the graph where the red one is showing the novel distance function. So mostly it is comparable or lesser compared to when using the other distance measures. This is the number of iterations. The number of iterations are also either similar to using other distance measures or lesser when using the other distance measure. The number of iterations is a evaluation metric which is independent of the processor of the system configuration hardware. This is the graph where it shows that except for shuttle data set, we are having reduced number of iterations compared to other distance measures. This is the sum of square error. The sum of square errors also, it is the quality of the cluster. If all the data points in the cluster are similar, the SSE would be 0. So a low SSE value is desirable. As you can see, the SSE is similar to that of other distance measures, and the silhouette score as well as the purity. These are the measures again. Silhouette score is the measure of how similar the data points are in a cluster to each other, and purity is the correctness of the outcome, which it is an external index which measures the correctness using the class labels given. So here also we can see that our results are comparable to using other distance measures. The conclusion is that when we apply our distance metric in the quick method and then input the cluster centers into the k-means algorithm, the output is comparable in terms of quality, which was measured by SSE, silhouette score, and purity. And the outcome, we are getting a lot of gaining in the processing speed, which is measurable in CPU time and number of iterations. So using our distance measure, we can have a lot of gain in the CPU in the processing time and speed up the k-means algorithm. Also, it's because its outcome is comparable in performance. It can be introduced as a new distance metric and can be used in the k-means algorithm. Future scope we would like to extend for other data types, which is yet to be done. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I appreciate your work. So I just have one question. Have you done with the time complexity analysis for like whatever work you have done, sense
Sir,
metrics that you have used for payments?
sir, I have compared only with the CPU time with the other distance measures. The complexity analysis is not done.
Okay, okay, no problem. And any hyperparameter tuning is done during implementation for k-means?
No, sir.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Siddhi, over to you.
Yes, sir. Ma'am, can you please stop sharing your screen?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for your presentation. Now we'll proceed to the next presenter. So the next presenter for today's session is Kamlesh Kukreti, sir, and their paper title is Advancements in Ionic Polymers, Membranes, Literature Review. So you may start with your presentation.
Yeah. A very good morning to all of you. Is my screen is ma'am visible
Yes,
too?
sir, we can see your screen and you are also audible. So you may
Okay, ma'am.
start.
So, ma'am, the title is Advancement in Ionic Polymer Membranes, and so the table of contents just motivation ki how I get the motivations, how I started the research in this topic, and introduction. Some there are the research gaps that I had found, methodology that generally used for analyzing the results using the polymer composites or ionic polymer membrane, and there are some characterization methods which are used by uh, us to analyze the results. So first of all, see nowadays all these ionic polymer membrane based application has been increasing because of the materialistic. Because if we are talk about the silicon, it is very less, and fossil fuels are depleting. So that's why we have moved to the, you can say, polymer or organic materials. And second is the application under the development requires smaller lighter energy systems which are we can perform or implement this in ambient temperature, like in room temperatures. So advantages to have low environmental impact and high storage capacity. And the main thing is we have the low fabrication cost. And how the low fabric cost happens, we fabricate the devices generally in room temperature using the polymer ionic composites or polymer ionic membrane. And we do not need any clean room technology to fabricate devices. So the cost become less. And so nowadays we can see supercapacitor for the electrical vehicles are gaining attractions. So supercapacitor basically are made up of various polymer or nano composites, and it is generally used for supercharging. It can do supercharging in 15 minutes. And in forum we can see the buses as using the supercapacitor, their battery got charged easily. And this then the introduction is that due to the depletion and the shortage of non-renewable fossil fuels based energy resource, so it is a serious challenge in the current century due to the energy crisis rate. And second thing is the climatic conditions. We all can see and we have all concerned about the environment factors ki. So, due to with the use of these material ionic polymer membranes, which composed of different elements, it can be these can be used in the nanotechnology as well as, like we have PVDF, PVP, and other materials. So, and at present, it is glass, plastics. It is a big electronic waste. So if we can make some sensors using this polymer composites, so it will help the climate, or it will help if the wastage of the electronic devices. And advancement in the material science and refinement of the existing tech systems led to the rapidly improving performance and rapid reduction in cost. Always, because if we do it in mass production, the cost will reduce. So there are some parameters why we have chosen polymer ionic membrane or polymer or nano composites. So the cost is the main reason. Fabrication costs are less. So device, it can be foldable. Nowadays, foldable laptops, materials, it can are flexible, strong than plastics, and the conditions are the same as room temperature. We do not need any ultra clean technology. As for the silicon devices, we can use ultra clean room technology. So basically, this is an introduction about polymer. So polymerization is a process of means different. There are monomer molecules. They combine together and form a chemical reaction to give us the other product. Like if we just combine three nanocomposite materials with each other, and they got reaction with each other, and it will give a, good product at the end. So here is the research team led by the principal investigator, Dr. Z Ning. He used polystyrene-based polymer to deposit the soft foldable membrane. It has converted from the organic waste, which has been sandwiched between the two. They have taken two graphite plates and one polystyrene, which is a polymer membrane, and between two graphite plates, and it become a capacitor, and it can store charge at 0.2 farads per square centimeter, and the capability was well above the typical upper limit of 1 microfarad per square centimeter. So this is the work done by him, and this is the all the classification of polymer. See, polymer can be of many types. So based on the origin, it is of three: synthetic polymer, natural polymer, semi-synthetic, and based on the structure, it is linear, cross-linking. So this is the mode of classification of various type of polymers. So it can be biodegradable, non-biodegradable, and so next we will the application of these polymer ionic membrane can be used for the sensor, conductive paint, actuator, supercapacitor. Basically, in all this products, we can use this compositions, or we can use this results. So here are the some uh, literature review of some uh, most cited paper. So uh, the author was Zekaul, and from 2007 he has used the pre-stretch PAC technique, which allows of the stretchability of flexible and the transparent electrodes. Means he have taken the electrodes of graphene. Nowadays, uh, graphene is mostly used for the research purposes, and it is giving a good result also. And silver nanowires hybrid structures are used. So limitation gap is that the the same characteristics has not been utilized, and Xiong Zheng, he has in 2011 he had prepared some wet chemical process to prepare porous copper oxide nanobelts with a high surface area. So it has been considered as a promising electrode for capacitor applications. Then the pseudo supercapacitor can be used on a conductive cloth, and it has, but the problem is it has low electrical conductivity and sensitive to environment change. So this is a non-uniform film. And then at the number five, by Gao, he has used graphene and a polymer composites for the capacitor application, but same problem, it is a non-uniform films. So these are the some literature review which I have done, and there's some limitations gap like uh, uh, this at the 2022 Park SW and his team, he has used recent progress in the development application of ionic polymer and with the metal composite micro machine. So the same characteristics have not been find out in this paper. And what is SEM? I will tell you. So the research gap I had found is the improvement can be done in the ionic polymer membrane of the porous structures, so that we can optimize the electron transport. So to avoid the collapse of porous microstructures. The problem is the poor stability of this composites in ionic polymer membranes, and so performance of this can be enhanced using the carbon nanotubes as an electrode, or graphene we can use as a electrode. So study on the improvement of interfacial bonding can be done, and we can investigate and describe the ionic transport and the carbon active carbon and as well as possible restriction in nanostructured cooler systems. And the last is study of the ionic polymer membrane based device in the power density membrane can be done through modeling softwares like COMSOL are there. So basically, this is a methodology which we use to form this ionic membrane. We first make a polymer suspension. Polymer suspension basically a combination of or blend of different kind of materials, means ionic polymer material, nanocomposites, and then we form a blend. After that blend, we keep it with a stirrer of around 24 hours. And after stirring that, we will pour it in a glass plate, and after that, we will dry it, and it form a with the bonding of different materials, it form a membrane. And so characterization methods which we use to analyze the results. So generally, all the people do that. So surface morphology, this is scanning, electromagnetic. Then there is a crystal structures, crystal behavior can be done by the XRD, and this is the different characterization which generally all the people do for the analyzing the different composition of the materials. And this is the cyclic voltammetric method. It is also one of the characterization method which is used to find the capacitance of uh, or other parameters. And this is the reference. So I think I had completed my presentation on time.
Yes, sir. Now we'll proceed to the questions and answers.
Okay.
Unless there are no questions from my side.
Okay, so we'll proceed to the next presenter then.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir, for the presentation.
Thank you.
So the next presenter in today's session is Gautam Malpani, sir. And their topic, the paper title of their team is Automated Question Generation System using NLP. Sir, are you with us?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. I'll stop sharing my screen now and you may start with your presentation and just keep a note of the time constraint. Thank you.
So, hello everyone. Um, Today I'm going to be talking about using natural language processing or NLP to automatically generate uh, question generation, MCQs, everything. Along with my authors Devraj, Jemish, and Dr. Abhijit Joshi, have tried to answer this, like why question generation systems are hard to build, and what can we do. So effective question generations are a cornerstone of assessing how well students understand and retain information in educational settings, but creating questions that cover a wide range of learning objectives and creating a large set of questions can be very time consuming for teachers, which can limit the effectiveness of this assessments. As I mentioned, questions are widely used tool for evaluating a student's knowledge and comprehension of topic. They require students to choose the most accurate answer from a set of options, making them a versatile assessment tool. However, manually casting these questions can be quite challenging for teachers, and this is where NLP comes in. So NLP, as you all know, is a field of computer science that allows computers to understand and process human language. By leveraging various NLP techniques, we can automate this process of generating questions, freeing up valuable time for educators. So before we dive into how we have implemented question generation, let's look at some of the existing approaches and what are the current limitations of this models. So the first model is TF-IDF and Ngrams. So this technique is was the first model used for question generation, automatically generating questions, and uh, they've followed the rule-based approaches given by researchers, but this had various drawbacks. For instance, they might not consider the full context of the question, which can lead to inaccurate representations. Due to time constraints, I will move forward with existing systems very fast, but So another approach is RNN encoder decoder model, which is a type of neural network commonly used for various tasks involving sequences like machine translation. While RNNs are useful, they can sometimes generate repetitive questions or struggle with uncommon words or longer text. Now, BART, bidirectional autoregressive transformer, it is a very robust language model which is proficient in sequence to sequence tasks, particularly used in question generation. However, BART models can sometimes produce irrelevant questions or have issues with complex content. Now, coming to the most two advanced NLP models, the BERT and the T5. Both of these models have been published by Google AI itself. Both are state of the art models that excel in sequence to sequence tasks. One of the BERT's strengths is its ability to consider the entire sentence for context, thanks to its bidirectional approach. This means it can analyze the relationships between words throughout the sentence, leading to a more nuanced understanding. Whereas T5, which is a more recently published model by Google, which is short for text to text transformer, is another powerful NLP model with some key advantages for question generation. And how is we have used T5 model for our question generation? So how is T5 better than BERT? First, T5 uses a unified text-to-text approach. This means it can handle various NLP tasks, including question generation within a single frame. This simplifies training and deployment compared to BERT, which might require separate models for different tasks. Another advantage is that T5 is pre-trained on a massive dataset of text data. This pre-training provides T5 with a strong foundation for tasks like question generation. Additionally, T5 can be fine-tuned for specific domains or subjects. T5 also has a built-in multilingual support, allowing to generate questions and understand contexts in various languages. This is a very unique point of T5. Finally, T5 is designed to be scalable. So basically, you need very low compute uh, to perform question generation using T5 model and train it itself. So to conclude, like NLP techniques of T5 model is much more useful in question generation. That's why we have chose to use T5. Now, the implementation of our model. So, dataset preparation and model training. So, scored 1.0 dataset is the most commonly used across all the papers to fine tune the model, T5 model, for question generation. So the scored dataset comprises over 100,000 curated question answer pairs from Wikipedia articles. Data is carefully divided into training, validation, test sets to ensure robust development, evaluation, and validation. We have performed pre-processing techniques such as tokenization, truncation, padding, sentence splitting, and model architecture is based on a transformer-based approach inspired by Google's T5 itself. Now, the main part, like there are so many question generation models in BERT itself. Uh, when we are using T5, what novelty is there in our model, in our implementation? So the Google AI model, when they published their paper about T5, they itself performed the evaluation of their model on question generation on the blue scores. But they didn't perform various additional features that others have performed, like uh, pre, uh, prepend highlight tokens. Adding such things increases the model quality. So in T5 sequential question generation, we find that there are two shortcomings for producing quality results. First, when we process lengthy context, we found that the generated question is often with lower quality. Second, when an answer phase appears multiple times in the context, there is ambiguity for to select which one to use for generating questions. As a result, poor results were reported when we used the blue score for performance evaluation. So to address this shortcomings, we further propose to restructure T5 sequential question generation. The observation for doing so is that we observe that for a long context, the answer phase often appears multiple times in the context, which causes ambiguity for the model for knowing which one as a target to generate question sentence. Thus, we design highlight tokens to avoid possible ambiguity. Now, this is the model architecture of our system. So the data is pre-processed, loaded, tokenized, and added special tokens. Question answer pairs are created, tokenized. Model is initialized. The pre-trained T5 model by Google and its associated tokenizers are loaded. We set the batch size, configure Adam optimizer, learning rate scheduler to 5 e raised to minus 5, and then we optimize it, send it for model training, forward and backward passes, and predict and generate questions. And we perform evaluation on a variety of scores that have been already been used by various other existing systems currently in the domain of question answering, like BLEU score, Meteor, Rogel. Uh, these are the widely used metrics for evaluating the quality of question generated text, particularly in machine translation, text generation, and question generation, question answering tasks. So, to give you context, BLU scores uh, is a measure that measures on the precision of n-grams shared between the generated output and the reference answers. A higher BLU score indicates better similarity to the reference answers. One drawback when comparing to SWOT dataset answers is that we can't measure for different contextual answers. So basically, the same question is being generated, but due to different context, it might have been reported low. Now, Meteor is also a metric that considers various aspects of text generation, including precision, recall, stemming. It is designed to provide a holistic evaluation of generated text by considering multiple linguistic factors. Um, so as you can see, as I explained earlier, the highlight format performs better than the prepend format, and it is due to the ambiguity that is being addressed by the highlight format. Uh, Concluding, in this project, we use forefront of transform models to investigate the problem of question generation. Using the SWOT dataset, we trained a T5 model for machine learning question generation comprehension and reading comprehension. We then fine-tuned the model to produce questions based on context paragraph. Then larger data sets and model sizes could still be used to improve these results. Like large language models that have come now, like Mistral AI, Llama models, but they would be requiring much higher compute uh, to generate these questions. In summary, like our project demonstrated the potential for transform models to generate coherent open-ended questions from context paragraph. Um, like with continued progress on such model architecture, datasets, and other areas, the models can become quite proficient at uh, question generation across many domains, which may be helpful for uh, education and various other sectors. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. Now, if there are any questions.
Gautam, I have one question. Why you have selected 90% as training data set, 5% validation, and 5% testing?
So,
Why?
so
I mean, yeah,
uh,
go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. The reason for that is we have seen that when as the data set, the SWOT data set is comprised of only 100,000 articles, it becomes uh, uh, like the training, if we set it as 70% as the training data set and the test and the validation data set to 20% and 10% respectively, the fine tuning cannot be performed very nicely. Also, the existing systems that currently have been published for question generation have used similar uh, sets. So we have trying to maintain over them. so that the evaluation metrics can be compared accordingly.
Have you experimented with different percentages?
Sorry. Yeah,
Have
that's
you
what I
experimented
mentioned.
your model?
Like we implemented that the same with 70%, 20%, and 10%. But the fine tuning reduces because you have only 100,000 articles, which is a lot less for uh, models like T5 to be fine tuned.
And have you done with the comparative analysis of different techniques that we just
Yeah.
discussed?
So as I mentioned earlier, so we first started with like as I mentioned, the T5 model already published by Google. They had evaluated themselves on this data set and how it performed on them. And we have tried to incorporate a few more features that were added on the BERT model by different researchers to on the T5 model. And as we saw that the prepend format, let me show you this. Yeah. So as we can see in the results metric, the prepend format performs poorly than the highlight format because the prepend format cannot uh, p- uh, the highlight perform can perform better in the forms of ambiguity when there's ambiguity also when the answer phase appears multiple times in the context, so like there's ambiguity to for the model to select the question. uh, that's why so in this manner we have used the original T5 model, compared the T5 model to the prefend question generation format and the highlight format.
Okay,
Ajay.
all right. No more questions from my side.
Okay, I will proceed to the next presenter then.
Thank you, everyone.
Sir, can you?
Yeah, sure. Thank
Yep.
you.
So the next presenter for today's session is Manasa Desai ma'am, and the paper title is Blockchain Organ Transplant Network with Fitness Check. Ma'am, you may start with your presentation. I'll stop sharing my screen. Ma'am, please make a note of the time constraint. I will be reminding you after 7 minutes. Thank you. Vanessa ma'am, are you with us? I think she is not present in the meet right now. So we'll proceed to the next presenter. If she returns, we'll take her presentation later on. So the next presenter is Ajinkya Bodke sir. Sir, are you with us in the meet? Ajinkya sir, are you with us?
Hello. Yeah, I am here, but I have network issue. Can I give it in the next 10 minutes?
Okay, sure. We'll take the next presenter.
Okay, thank you.
So the next presenter is Athira ma'am. Athira ma'am, are you with us?
Yeah,
Will you be able to present right now?
yeah, sure. Can you give me a minute? Or
Yes, sure, ma'am. I'll stop sharing my screen. You may start with your presentation. I'll stop sharing my screen now.
okay. So, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Oh, okay. So, hi everyone, myself Adira. So, my research topic is conversational commerce, the factors driving purchase intention on chatbots and instant messaging. So, before I start talking about the actual research topic, let me talk a bit about conversational commerce. Conversational commerce is nothing but the integration of messaging apps and online shopping, and it gives sorry so yeah so it gives a set of convenience and personalization to the users, and it is a growing area because it's a very sorry let me give me a second. Yeah, so it focuses on communicating with users on a real time basis, and it is a growing area because it's an intersection of two digitally growing activity, that is um, online shopping and online messaging. And in this study, we have used sorry in this study we have used UTA UT2 model to understand the factors influencing the purchase intention to use the conversational chatbots in the for shopping and instant messaging app. And we have used construct like effort expectancy, performance expectancy, hedonic motivation, and attitude in this UTA UT2 model. Along with that, we have integrated three additional constructs like message interactivity, localization, and anthropomorphism. And about this construct, I will be explaining in the upcoming slides. So the motivation behind this study was, like I said, conversational commerce use this natural language processing, speech recognition, machine learning to let users to have a transaction with the brands using chatbots and voice assistant. And this conversational commerce gives the ability to connect with the users on a real-time basis and provide a personalized experience. This conversational chatbots have evolved from a stage where they will only answer to certain queries based on a certain command to a stage where they can mimic human interactions or human conversation. Therefore, it's such a stage where the conversational chatbots can simulate the same behavior of a in-store shopping assistant, where this conversational chatbots will be able to provide a product recommendation based on the analysis of the user behavior, help them as in assisting them in shopping. So it is important for the brand to understand how these chatbots can help them to provide the customers a very personalized and as well as better shopping experience. So as the code says, the chat apps will come to be the thought of a new browser, and boards will be the new website, and this is the beginning of the new internet. So the research question that we answered in this study was, what are the factors influencing the intention to purchase through conversational chatbots, and how the localization will affect the relationship between the message interactivity and purchase intention. So in the literature review, the construct anthropomorphism means the attributing human emotions and features to a non-human entity. And message interactivity can be defined in simple terms, can be defined as a ability of ability of the systems or the ability of the chatbot to talk back to a human being. And localization means nothing but providing location-based services like the chatbots or voice assistants that is being adapted to the location specific features like the local language, slang, or other location specific details. So in the conceptual model, we have used performance expectancy, effort expectancy, social influence, facilitating condition, attitude, anthropomorphism, and message interactivity, and how they are influencing the purchase intention, and the moderating role of localization on message interactivity. And these scales were measured using a 5-point Likert scale. From strongly, the questions were measured using the scales like how do you agree on certain things, or how do you agree or disagree about certain features of chatbots were asked to the respondents to measure these scales. So these were the hypotheses like performance expectancy and the intention to purchase through conversational chatbots and conversational chatbots and messaging apps are positively related. So these were the several hypotheses that we were used in this study. And about descriptive data, majority of our participants were from the age group of either below 24 or 25 to 30 years. And the majority of the users were previously never used chatbots for online shopping. And if they have given a chance, they will be using um, chatbots for mostly for the purchase of home appliances, personal gadgets, apparels, and personal wellness items. So these were the very uh, basic features or the basic features about our respondents. And the research methodology we followed was on an online questionnaire followed by which used a probabilistic judgmental sampling method, and we analyzed using Stata. And the result of our analysis was the constructs like social influence, hedonic motivation, attitude, message interactivity, and these construct had a very positive and significant influence on the purchase intention, and features like performance expectancy, effort expectancy didn't have a significant impact influence on purchase intention. So that's the interpretation that I had to make here. And also the features like anthropomorphism, that is the bot-like feature, has a positive influence, and the human-like features which had a negative influence on the purchase intention, which make me come to the conclusion that since the localization has a negative influence on the purchase intention, higher the localization that means lower the impact on message interactivity on purchase intention. And about the anthropomorphism, the consumer expect chatbots to be visually appealing and to possess some human characteristics, but they don't seem to prefer the chatbots that looks exactly like the human. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Sir, are there any questions?
Yeah. So, Athira, have you tested the accuracy of the answers? And if yes, by which ways? Have you measured the accuracy basically?
Hello. So can you please repeat the question for me?
Yeah. So, have you measured the accuracy of the answers given by chatbot? Plus, if yes, if accuracy is measured, then can you elaborate a bit about it?
Uh, Actually, we didn't use chatbots as a way to measure the answers. We were using specifically questionnaires to the users in such a way, like for example, uh, for the construct performance expectancy, we asked uh, question to the users like it would improve my shopping experience, or the chatbots would enable me to accomplish my shopping goals, or it would enhance my repurchasing chances. So these were the certain questions that we used to get answers from the respondents. Not we didn't use any kind of chatbots to measure any answers.
Okay. All right. No problem. Cindy, over to you.
Yes, sir. So the next presenter for the session is Pritesh Kumar Prajapati, sir. So you're present with us?
Excuse me.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I'm with you.
yes, sir.
Yeah,
Uh,
somebody said something.
Excuse me, Siddhi, like my presentation was just before this, I missed it. Can I do it now?
Yes, sure, sir. If you don't have any issues regarding the network,
No, no, it's fine.
Okay, then you may present for before. Just a second.
Yeah. I'll be waiting for next one.
Yes. I'm so sorry, sir.
Not an issue.
Okay, sir, you may start with your presentation. I'll stop sharing my screen. So the paper
Okay.
title for Ajinkya sir's presentation is A Chat with PDF Using Retrieval Augmented Generation. So you can share your screen now.
Can I see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so the name of my paper is Start with PDF using retrieval augmented generation. This paper is about like how we can develop contextually aware systems and talk with them in natural language. My main motivation was behind doing this was like I had multiple PDF documents for for my final exams, and finding information relevant to my syllabus was a big task. So if we just use the normal conventional ways of finding information in PDF, which is pretty hard, like we'll use a control F keyword and we'll type in some value, but we'll have multiple results for the same. So to tackle the same issue, I thought of developing a system which would be useful for not just me, but all the people around. So the problems I'm trying to tackle with the system is efficient retrieval. And normal, if we search through documents, we'll get multiple responses for the same query. And it would be hard to understand what is the correct location of the information what we need. Time consuming, like one keyword can be placed at hundreds of locations, and to know exactly which is contextually correct for our question is hard. And semantic understanding is that if we don't know what the PDF document is about, and we just want to know in a brief what this document is about without reading through the entire document, uh, our time would be saved. In literature survey, I analyzed a few papers, and each of these papers was addressing one problem, like context aware. This paper was addressing how a particular query would answer just about the document we are passing and not any gibberish text or what we face in any natural language model. In multimodal, it is about how LLM model can pass through multiple documents. Document summarization. This paper is about how you can pass huge documents into smaller summaries, but you cannot query them. And these are other few papers regarding the same. So the main issue here was all of these papers were addressing one single issues, and there was no comprehensive solution for combining all these individual technologies into one system and creating a system as a whole, which would be useful. So how the system would work, this system can be both for a B2C use case and a B2B use case, but I'm more reliant on the B2B use case so that organizations would be the time of the organizations would be saved, and it would be more valuable for them. So how it would work, first user will log in, basically create his account on the platform, then upload all the PDF documents required. Then the PDFs would be uploaded for processing. Then the user will ask questions and just receive the response based on what question he has asked. So this is a sample interaction, like this is my friend's resume, and this is what the system would look like. He would ask questions, and based on that, respond. This is another example where I parsed an invoice, and here you have received the response. So the use case of this is that suppose if I am a HR and I have thousands of resumes and I don't have manual time to look information about the students who have enrolled for the position, I can just use the system and get answer in natural language instead of manually querying through each and document. And this is about invoice. So for any company, whatever expenses are there, so instead of manually reading through all the invoices, getting all the amounts, what were just use this paper is that like where all the systems can be used. As I mentioned, my first use case from where the idea arose was educational documents, basically passing used textbooks and getting the relevant answers. Then research documents, e-commerce, government policies, books are quite big and finding relevant information through it is quite a hard task. Customer support, basically new customer support employees can be trained because there is a huge manual about companies, database, all the rules and how they should approach their clients. They can just query the system and get a response ASAP instead of manually reading through the entire database. And also in healthcare, if there is a new practitioner who hasn't read through the entire manual, or maybe he's not remembering an information, he can just use the system and get answer in a fast way. So the objectives with the system are there shouldn't be any hassle interactive with the system. There should be 100 times runtime so that there shouldn't be delay if the user asks a question and he's getting the answer after 5 minutes. Then we are trying to incorporate newer AI models so that we'll get huge context window. And also with this, we should make sure that computing is not free. So we should parse the document efficiently and so that less and less of our graphics power is used. So the project requirements is nothing but it can be hosted on any domain. So you just need a device which is connected to the internet. And these are the technologies we use. Next.js, which is a full stack framework, Tailwind for styling, Plug for authentication, NeonDB for storing the vectors, S3 for storage of the PDFs, and Pinecone for storing our vectors. LangChain for breaking into small chunks, and OpenAI as the large language model. So this is a basic overview. First, the user would upload the documents, which would get stored in AWS S3. We are using under textual information. And this is a vector database, Pinecone, where all our vectors would be stored. Then when the user asks query, the query would also be created into an embedding, and then it would be stored into Pinecone DB. And after comparing what are the equal vectors, the response would be passed to OpenAI, and it would create a answer in natural language. So here, basically, I've explained the same thing in a more detailed way. Expected outcome, the main outcome of this is that whatever PDFs we are uploading, the answer should be related to that PDF only and not gibberish. Like whenever we try to ask questions to chat GPT, it generally gives information out of the context as well. And it's very hard to incorporate the same so that all our information is presented properly and the user should be able to understand in an easy manner. Versatility so that the system can be used in all the use cases and should not be limited to one particular domain like education or healthcare. Conclusion, my main motive with this is that I hope that this system is incorporated into multiple businesses and they're able to reduce their time spent of manually passing documents and getting information through them. Thank you. Any questions?
No questions from us.
Hello.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. I will proceed to the next presenter. So the next presenter for today's session is Pritesh Kumar Prajapati, sir. And the paper title is Enhancing Security in a University Network Using Snort and Wireshark. So you can start with your presentation now.
Yeah, kindly allow me to share the screen.
Yes. Yes.
Sir, facing some issues regarding the presentation. So can I share my screen on behalf of him?
Yes, sure, sir.
Okay.
You can
Thank
share.
you. Okay, thank you. Is my screen is visible?
Yes.
Mm. Good afternoon. Myself Rachit Shah, and I am from Charusat University. Our paper title is Enhancing Security in University Network Using SNOT and Wireshark. And our authors are Pritesh Kumar Prajapati, Dr. Parth Shah, Devanshi Shah, Rachit Shah, and Madhav Ajwalia. So the outline of presentation is: first we are go through introduction and how to detect attacks, then intrusion detection and prevention system, why IDS and IPS in university network, then our proposed work, and then finally implementation. So as you can see, hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes. As we can see, there is a rise in a cyber attacks in India from 2018 to 22. As report in certain, we can see that from 2018 to 2022, the graph of attacks are increasing. And in this figure, we should have two different graphs. The first one is this, and the another one is cyber attacks in India, where we can see that the graph, the first graph from 2018 to 2022, it is increasing year by year, and the other is cybersecurity attacks in India, where we can see that there is a COVID-19 in the era of COVID-19, there is a maximum attacks are done because of the our system goes online and there is a lockdown. So the another attacks are local malware, talent attack, phishing attack, mobile network attacks, and web malware, respectively. So the next is how to detect the attacks. We can use three different modules like firewall, intrusion detection system, and intrusion prevention system to detect attacks. First, the firewall, which can analyze the inbound and outbound traffic, which can say that if there are malicious activities occurring in the system from inbound and outbound traffic. The another is intrusion detection system, where we worked using SNOT. It can based on a two system, mainly the host based intrusion detection and network based intrusion detection system. The host based intrusion detection is based on a particular PC or laptops or mobile phones which in the network, where network based intrusion detection is based on the subnetting system. So each subnet has a uh, sorry each subnet has a single intrusion detection system, where it analyzes the incoming and outgoing packets of a network. And the third is intrusion prevention system. If any malicious activity detect using IDS, then we can prevent using IPS. If we can drop the packet as well, and we can give analysis to Wireshark.
Ranjit, sorry to interrupt you. Can I take the session? I am
Yes,
briefly
yes,
connected.
sir. Okay,
Yeah.
sir.
Share the screen and I'll be continuing. Right. So as so far as I think Rachit had discussed regarding how to detect the attacks related to firewall, how to attack that or detect the attacks, right, in the form of firewall, IDS, and IPS. So go for the next slide. Rachit. Yeah. Regarding the firewall IDS and IPS. So firewall generally is a single choke point where every packet goes through in and outgoing connections, right? IPS we are dealing with to detect particular traffic, right, and classifies and then stop the malicious traffic from the attack. And IDS is providing that information in case there are some security violations and other things, right? Then protect that. Working getting the traffic based on in the case of firewall. So there are pros and cons of so ideas right real-time traffic and look the traffic patterns of the content spread we can prevent that is a part of IPS. So configuration more is discussed over here. Placement will be
Sir,
when
your
we
voice
do
is
email.
breaking a lot. Sorry to interrupt, but your voice is breaking a lot.
Sir, actually, your voice is breaking a lot. Can you please move to a stable environment? We are not able to hear you clearly.
I really connect.
It is still
Can you please
breaking.
allow me now?
Sir, can you please text in the chat box so I'll know what you're trying to say?
Can you hear me now clearly?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me correctly?
No, we still can't hear you clearly. Your voice is breaking.
Connected with the 3 Mbps. Yeah,
Hello, am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, as sir said, there is a we can see on the screen that there is a difference between firewall versus IPS versus IDS, where main principle of working is firewalls only filter the traffic based on IP address and port numbers, where IPS inspect the real-time traffic and looks for traffic parameters or signature of a attack and then prevents the attack on a detection, where IDS detects the real-time traffic and looks for traffic patterns or signature of attack and then generate the alerts. The main difference between them is uh, we can place firewall into inline perimeter of a network, uh, and for IPS we can do it inline generally after firewall, and IDS we can there is a no limitation, like we can put before the firewall and after the firewall also. And the another difference is firewall cannot analyze the traffic patterns, where IPS IDS can analyze the traffic patterns. We mainly focus on this to detect any malicious activities using signature or a traffic patterns. Uh, then the we can lastly we saw that the placement of firewall IPS and IDS. We can see here in the graph that IPS and IDS can put before the switch and after the switch, as we can see in our screen. Then the another topic is why IDS IPS university. As we all know that university holds significant amount of sensitive data, including personal information and research data, as well as universities have their e-governance systems that manage admission, academic administration, and other important information. IDS and IPS are crucial components in safeguarding university network against cybersecurity threats. They actively monitor network traffic and detect suspicious or malicious activities, helping to prevent unauthorized access, data breaches, and other security incidents. The flow of our project is, firstly we use snot and we write the rules into the snot. Then we run the snot into the background and check whether any malicious activities or any signature is captured in our system. If any malicious activity and signature is captured in the network, then we analyze that packet using Wireshark for further analysis, like what is a inbound and outbound IP address, and what is the TTL time of the packet. Furthermore, we can see the index of snot and Wireshark here, where we can see that the snot is divided mainly into two parts: a rule header and a rule option, where if we want to alert or if you want to drop a packet, then we write a alert or a drop, then which protocol we want to use, then source address, then source port, then the direction. It is a bi-directional model as well, and then destination address and destination port. From this we can write a signature or a traffic analysis, where what is the source and what is the destination IP, and the another part is rule option, where any malicious activities or rule is detected, then it will show the message like TCP packet is detected. Rather than this, if any packet is detected, we use Wireshark for further analysis. For example, here we use the IP address equals to 172.16.0.1 to check whether this packet is analyzed in our network or not. So this is the implementation part, where we write a snot rules to detect a ping alert, to SSH alert, or any FTP alert, like file is transferred between two parties or not. And we also write media files like JPEG, PNG, zip, MP3, AVI, to detect whether the hash of that hash of the any media is detected in our snot. If any detection is there, snot will detect the packet.
Yeah. Here, what we have done, I am reconnected with the stable internet. So these are the common rules in the first one. So we can prevent a DOS attack, right? In the rule number one. Then we can detect sequential within the network has been done or not. And here we can present home network to hide this particular our experiment. So we have written in the variable dollar home underscore net. FTP connection from the network, we can detect, right? Somebody is sending something outside the network or within the network, right? So these are the rules for that. Next, important rules compared to the existing papers or that particular stuff, what they have done. So what we have done, we identified the packet content. And as you might be aware, right, each file is having that particular metadata also that can be viewed in the hex viewer. So alert TCP any that means source any IP to any destination to source IP and any packet to any. What we have fetched, we fetch the content of within the packet. So in Wireshark, we have freedom to select different filters. So within that packet, right, we fetch that content. So this is the header file, for example, it is for GIF. So when particular packet is being transmitted in the Wireshark, we'll be able to get this particular GIF 8A in the form of content, and then we can get the message GIF has been sent or received right within the network. Similarly, PDF, different versions of the PDF are there. So these are that particular notation or unique identifier, right? From the network packet, we can identify, right, a PDF has been sent or not. Similar way for the PNG, zip file, right, and JPG generally is widely used, right? So FFNT8 is the code for that. And same way for MP3 transmission of any kind of multimedia file, we can detect through this clear Wireshark, but we have written parallel rules in the snot also. So next slide, please.
Sir, extremely sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah,
but can you
that's
please wrap
almost
up?
completed. So this
Okay.
is that particular research outcome of what we have done, right? So e-governance access. So this is the outcome of the snot. Next. Sorry for the bad internet today. Next, Rashid. Yeah. So this is also back. Not next, back. Wireshark, right? So same way we can observe from here FFNT8. So we can set somebody has sent a particular JPG file right from here. So this is also proof in the not also and Wireshark also. And this is the filter what we have used, right? Hex view in the Wireshark. Next. Same way, other malware and other particular malicious websites had been served or not. So integrating SNOT and Wireshark, we started initially in the form of practical, right? And we converted into paper, right? So we can identify, we have written rules to identify that a particular TOR network has been established or not. Later on, we can go for the IDS IPS using blockchain deep learning if it is required, right? With IoT security integration and network forensics. So that's it from our side. Yeah. Hello.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir, for the presentation.
Yeah, Nitin sir.
If there are any questions.
Nitin sir.
Nitin, sir?
No questions.
Yeah. Sir.
Okay, we'll proceed to the next presentation then. Sir, can you please stop sharing your screen?
Rajit, kindly.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the next presenter for today's session is Aniket More, sir. And the paper title they're presenting is Etherdocs, Student Document Management Using Ethereum Blockchains and IPFS. Sir, I request you to please start with your presentation.
Yeah, I'll share my screen.
Yes, sir, please keep track of the time as we are
Yeah.
running late already. Thank you.
Can you stop sharing this? I hope the slides are visible.
Yes, the slides are visible and you're audible.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Aniket, and I'm presenting our paper Etherdocs, Student Document Management using blockchain, chain blockchain, and IPFS.
So I'll quickly go over the problem statement and literature review, then going over the components and the architecture that we've created for the system, and the process flow and implementation details. So, as a student progresses through the academic journey, many academic documents are created, and counterfeiting documents is a big issue. It is really difficult for third parties to verify documents that are submitted to them, and it takes a lot of time and resources. There have been solutions using blockchain to verify documents, but they usually rely on centralized data stores such as an RDBMS. This makes it difficult for collaboration between different parties like students, institutions, and employers. In this paper, we explore a design and implementation of a truly decentralized document management system using Ethereum blockchain as a immutable data store and IPFS, which stands for Interplanetary File System, as a distributed file system to store as well as verify academic documents. So, as I said, there have been systems which have used blockchain as a immutable data store to verify documents, but most of them either completely avoid the problem of centralized data storage by avoiding the storage of certificates that they issue, or by using a centralized data store like an RDMS. This makes it difficult for collaboration because either one of the parties, students, institutions, or the employers, has to bear the cost of operating and maintaining the document storage infrastructure. So I'll quickly go through the components of our system. So IPFS stands for Interplanetary File System. It's a distributed peer-to-peer file system. Ethereum is a blockchain. It's a decentralized blockchain that allows us to execute custom code through a concept called smart contracts. Node.js is a free and open source JavaScript runtime which uses V8 engine to execute JavaScript on the server. We use it as a computational backend to compute hashes of uploaded documents. And React is a UI library that we use to create a UI for users to interact with. The code for the project is open sourced and you can find it on GitHub on the given URL. So I'll quickly go through the architecture. We have our users which are interacting with the system through a browser front end. It contains the React client as well as it interfaces with MetaMask. So MetaMask is an extension which allows us to interact with the blockchain in a secure way. It stores users' private keys and exposes an API to our React application that allows us to interact with the blockchain on behalf of users without our users having to expose their private keys uh, to us, which creates a security vulnerability. Then we have a Node.js server that the React application talks to. We use it as a computational backend to compute the hashes for uploaded documents as well as interact with IPFS to upload documents. So it's the use case diagram for our user or the student. The student can connect to the application and view certificates which will read data from the blockchain. We have a issuer, which is usually an institution like a college. So they can issue certificate. What that does is they will create the certificate, they compute the hash, they upload it to IPFS, and they store all the related data on the blockchain to be referenced later. We have a verifier. What the verifier does is, given the certificate by the user to verify, it will use the system to generate the hash. It will read the data from the blockchain and it will send data to blockchain to return a verification response from the blockchain whether the data is verified or not. I'll go through the issuing flow. So when a certificate is being issued, the issuer uploads the document to our React application, which sends it to our Node.js server, which calculates the hash and appends a UUID to it. The document is then uploaded to IPFS along with the UUID, where we receive the IPFS link. We get the IPFS link, we get the hash of the document, we get the UUID, and we store that on the blockchain. So here we are using blockchain as a data store to validate the certificate, and we are using IPFS as a distributed data store. I'll go through the verifying flow. So when a third party is trying to verify a certificate, the user provides with the certificate and the issuer the verifier has to find out the address of the issuer, which corresponds to his public key. Then the verifier will upload the UUID document and details of the student and the institution, which then go through the process of being hash being computed, and then it is uploaded. It is sent to the blockchain for verification, where we get a response of whether it is valid or not valid. So the tech stack we are using is React and MetaMask and Chakra on the front end, as well as Node.js, Solidity and Ethereum, and IPFS on the back end. So these are some of the screenshots from the application. To issue a certificate, to view the certificates, and to verify the certificates. The future scope for the project is using asymmetric key encryption, so that we can encrypt the data so that only the students are able to view the unencrypted data, as well as developing interoperable standards so that different parties can collaborate on document verification. For example, a standard needs to be created for institutions to publish their blockchain addresses or their public keys so that documents could be verified. And the project Etherdocs could be integrated with existing systems that are there created by institutions that are used to generate documents. These are some of the references. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, are there any questions, or should I proceed to the next presenter?
Good work.
Okay, I'll proceed to the next presenter then. So the next presenter for today's session is Deepamrita Chakrabarti ma'am, and the paper they're presenting is factors affecting digital shifting of food industries through food apps for business sustainability and empirical study. Ma'am, you may start presenting. I'll stop
Sure.
sharing my screen.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yes.
Am I
Yes,
audible?
ma'am.
Yes,
You
the
are audible.
screen is visible?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all. Today my topic is factors affecting digital shifting of food industries through food apps for business sustainability. This is an empirical study. I have three co-authors, Dr. Rudrangshu Giri, Mohadev Bera, and Dibyendu Raut. And I'm Deepanita Chakraborty. I'm presenting this paper today. Actually, food apps are becoming more popular that we can see. Before pandemic also it was there. We used to use food app, but after pandemic, it is becoming more visible day by day. We often use Zomato, Domino's, Swiggy for ordering food because these are becoming popular because probably of the space and time utility that we get out of it. Today, our objective of the study is to identify that how technology is influencing consumers' attitude and intention to use food. So I'm skipping these two slides because of the time constraints. It will be better, I think, if I come to the hypothesized research model directly. I will elaborate the constructs over here. What does it mean? First, we are starting with the TAM facets. TAM, that is the technology acceptance model, which actually gives us the which actually bridges the two things. One is the technology, another one is consumer behavior. So the basic two constructs that we have taken from the 10 facets is perceived usefulness of food. Perceived usefulness means that how beneficial the technology is to use for the consumer to use. And perceived ease of use is that whether the consumer can use the technology in a hassle-free way or not. So the hypothesis is saying that both the perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use for food app, they are impacting attitude towards the food app with a positive correlation. That is, there is a positive correlation between perceived usefulness of food app and attitude towards food app, and there is a positive correlation between perceived ease of use of food app and attitude towards food app. Now, I'm going to the next facet, that is TPB. TPB is theory of planned behavior. This is an established, well-established theory. And this also is actually considers that how, what are the factors that actually influences human behavior to, uh, I mean, so that towards a favorable intention to use a particular technology. So we have taken the major two constructs from this theory only, that is influence of subjective norm. Subjective norm means this is the influence of social group. It can be family members, it can be friends, it can be colleagues, it can be social group members, anyone, but will be the influence to there are chances, the theory says, TPB says that there are chances that the intention of the consumer will be highly influenced by the subjective norm. And perceived behavioral control, this is the actually the perception, how a consumer perceives that what he or she should do or what he or she shouldn't do. So it has also a positive relation. We have assumed, as per the hypothesis, we have hypothesized that there is a positive correlation between influence of subjective norm and intention to use food app, and there is a positive correlation between perceived behavioral control and intention to use food app. Now we are joining this to attitude and intention. There are several studies which are saying that a favorable attitude can converge to a favorable intention. That is, they can end up with the purchasing of that particular product or service. Okay, so we have a moderator. Moderator means moderating variables. What they're doing, they are not directly affecting a construct, but they are affecting a relation. So we can see that there is a relation between attitude towards food up and intention towards food up. And the hypothesis, according to the hypothesis, the relation is positive. Now this affordance as a moderator is influencing that relation. Affordance can, it has a direct relationship actually. If there is a high affordance, then what will happen, that there will be high possibility that a favorable attitude will convert to a favorable intention. And if affordance is low, then even the attitude is favorable, that may not convert to a purchase decision or decision intention to purchase. That is what we say. How we collected the data, this is a cross-sectional online survey and descriptive research design that we have used. The age of the respondents were between 16 to 65 years, all are Indian respondents. And the survey period was from 10th August 2023 to 15th November 2023. The number of respondents were 300. We have used a 5-point Likert scale, where 5 means extremely agree, strongly agree, and 1 means strongly disagree. And that is, we have chosen the respondents using convenience sampling method, and we have used SPSS 28.0 and MOS 28.0 for analysis purpose. So next one is common method bias. It was ensured that the respondents can share their views confidently, because they were assured that their identity will not be disclosed, and no answer is wrong. Whatever they will say, there is nothing right or wrong. They are only exchanging their views about that. And we have used a Harman's single factor test over here to ensure that no one, no one single factor has a significant dominance. So whatever we have calculated, the calculated value is 28.07. That is much more lesser than the threshold limit of 50%. So this is a measurement level where we have actually judged the reliability and validity of the data and the construct as well. The reliability of the data, these are the good model fit parameters like chi-square by degree of freedom. The recommended threshold value was less than 3 and we got 1.068. Similarly, goodness of fit index, norm fit index, comparative fit index, Tuchel leaves index, and root mean square error, RAMSA, all are showing a good value. Whatever was the recommended value, we got our calculated value within the threshold limit. So the reliability of the data was established. Now we are I'm coming to validity factor. Here I have mentioned two things. One is convergent and another one is discriminant. This validity is being checked for the constructs. Constructs, that is whatever I said, like perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, whatever we have discussed in the data, like all these constructs, the validity will be checked for these constructs only. Now there are two, as I said, that one is convergent, where the whether the items are, I mean the scales, how we are measuring our construct, whether these are validated or not, that validation we are checking by AVE. AVE, that is average variance extracted, that is actually showing, we are judging whether the scales are converging towards a particular construct or not. And the threshold limit is it has to be greater than 0.50 in all the cases for all the constructs. We can see the construct like perceived usefulness of food, perceived ease of use, influence of subjective norm, and so on. For all the construct, we can see that the AV values are greater than 0.50. So the convergent validity testing is successful. Next one is discriminant validity testing. This is actually, we have used here the Fornell and Larker criteria. We can
Ma'am,
see the yes.
so sorry to interrupt you, but can you please wrap it up a
We'll
bit?
sure. So the diagonal values are actually these are showing the root over of AV, that is the square root of AV. That is what it is showing. That is the average variance extracted. That will be square root of that. And whatever values we can consider the other values. These are actually the inter-construct correlation that we can get. Like I can give you one example, like intention to use food up with attitude, 2 with 1. This is like a matrix. It is showing a value. This is the correlation value of the interconstruct between attitude towards food up and intention to use food up. So the as per the criteria of Fornell and Larker, the diagonal values has to be greater than these all interconstruct correlations, which we can see over here. Therefore, the discriminant validity is also established. This is a structural model where we need to see the whether the regression estimates, that is the beta values, we can see that the relation between the intention and attitude, that is giving highest. Okay, and all are supported because the p values we have actually taken 1% and 5% significant level. We can see the p values are either less than 0.05 or less than 0.01. So all are supported except one, that is the relation between subjective norm and intention to use food app. As per the TPB theory, the subjective norms, they are influencing the intention, but whatever we got in case of food app, that the if influence of subjective norm is less, rather people are influenced by their affordance, by their capacity to purchase. So that we can see over here, that was the model and beta values were there. So affordance, we can see it is accepted, well accepted, and beta value is 0.308. So the influence of affordance is very high, whether a favorable attitude will get to convert it into intention to purchase or not. That is whether it will end up with a purchasing activity or not. So whatever we have discussed, I'm skipping this slide because I've already discussed the hypothesis. So the implications are like theoretical implications that people may take interest to go further with this food app, I mean, experiences of customer or customer behavior related food app. People are price sensitive, so that can be considered by the managers as well whenever they are making their marketing strategies, and they should segment the market in that way so that people can afford the products. Okay, so in conclusion, I can say that the food of services, there is flexible nature regarding the quality and hygiene. It was assured, that's why people are taking interest in using food app. And adoption of a particular technology definitely takes time for adoption, because people has to gain trust regarding the particular technology, then only they will use it. And merging of technical and behavioral factors induce consumer attitude and hence influence them to have a favorable usage intention. The study limitations are, we have used here only the behavioral factors. We have not considered the value factors, consumer value factors. or consumption value factors that we have not used. So it can be used to get some interesting outcome or interesting result. And here we have considered whatever survey we did, that was an online survey totally, but one-to-one interview can be explored, because it can come out with some interesting insights which can make some valuable addition with the in the research. So thank you very much for your patience hearing.
Thank you, ma'am, for your presentation. And now, if there are any questions.
No questions from my side.
Okay, we'll proceed to the next presenter then.
Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. So this is the very last presenter for today's session, Anjali Pise ma'am. And the paper title they're presenting is Investigating Energy Efficient Optimal Routing Protocols for VANET, a comprehensive study. Ma'am, I request you to wrap up the presentation within a span of 8 minutes so that we can get 2 minutes for Q&A, because we are already running very late from the time.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
I am not able to share the screen because the
Now
message is
you will
coming.
be able to share your screen. I've stopped sharing mine.
Okay. Good afternoon to one and all. I am Anjali Pise. I am presenting a seminar on investigating energy efficient optimal routing protocol for VANETs, a comprehensive study. My paper ID is 132. The contents of my presentation are introduction, communication types in VANET, literature review, types of algorithm, comparison of types of algorithm, comparison of algorithms with performance metrics, conclusion, and the references. As introduction, we know that the vehicular ad hoc network is an emerged, revolutionized intelligent transportation system. And because of this, we can have a control on the accidents and the deaths due to accidents. In VANET, we are going for safety critical and non-safety applications. We are going for communication between vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to infrastructure, and so on. So the vehicle VANET will give us a efficient energy management strategy, which is crucial to ensure prolonged network connection, secure communication, and sustainable deployment of VANET system. A study of energy efficient optimal routing for this communication in VANET was motivated by the growing importance of VANET for the road safety and transportation efficiency. As the vehicle battery size is limited, the maximizing energy uses while maintaining effective communication becomes paramount. And this is a very important parameter that we need to manage when we are going to design a VANET network. So the aim is to conserve that energy and extend the network lifetime by identifying and analyzing energy efficient routing schemes. Moreover, understanding the strengths and limitations of different routing algorithms will provide valuable insight into trade-offs between energy conservation and other performance metrics such as packet delivery ratio and end-to-end delay. So significant contribution will be made by the findings of this study to the development of reliable and sustainable VANETs, thereby ensuring a safer and more efficient transportation system. So basically, the communication types in VANET are V2V, V2I, V2N, V2P, V2D, V2G, and V2C. So different types of messages can be communicated between these communication types. If you go for the literature review, we can see the John Smith has given a comprehensive survey of energy efficient routing protocol in VANET, which is categorized by their approaches and which is evaluated using energy consumption, packet delivery ratio, and some other performance metrics. Michael Brown gives the energy efficient routing strategy in his paper. Then William Johnson gives a comprehensive analysis of existing research on energy efficient routing in VANET. Mark Anderson gives the schemes which are accessed according to their energy conservation. Emily Roberts gives the trade-off between the energy conservation and other performance. The Alice Johnson again work on energy efficiency metrics as the basis for categorizing routing protocols in VANET. The different types of algorithms which are used in vehicular adapt networks are geographic routing algorithm, prediction-based routing algorithm, position-based routing algorithm, energy-efficient routing algorithm, the load balance routing algorithm, cluster-based routing algorithm, QoS, that is aware routing algorithm, security-based routing algorithm, and multipath routing algorithm. I have compared all these types of algorithm for the strengths and limitations as follows. The very first is geographic routing algorithm. This geographic routing algorithm rely on location of information of nodes. The nodes are vehicles in our case to make that routing decision, how to send the particular packet or particular message from vehicle to vehicle or vehicle to infrastructure, that is decided in geographic routing algorithm. This is efficient for sparse network, low overhead in terms of control messages. The limitation for geographic is may suffer from local minimums, not suitable for highly dynamic networks. The second category of algorithm is prediction-based routing algorithm. In this, we are going to predict the future position of vehicle to make the routing decision. So here we often use the historical data and some predictive models. The strength of such algorithm is can anticipate future vehicle movements, potentially reducing latency. And the limitation are accuracy of prediction affects routing performance, can be complex to implement. The third category is position-based routing algorithm. In this, we are going to monitor the position of vehicle to make the forwarding decision. Examples are greedy perimeter, stateless routing, GPSR, and the anchor-based GPSR. The strengths are simple to implement, efficient for moderate to high mobility scenario. Limitation may suffer from wide region, not suitable for sparse networks. The next category is energy efficient routing algorithm. So most of the work is going on in this area now. So energy efficient routing algorithm is, the aim of this is to extend the network lifetime by minimizing the energy consumption. This may include EAGR or EARP type of algorithm. The strengths are prolongs the operational life of nodes, reduces the need for frequent battery replacement, and the limitations are may prioritize energy efficiency over other metrics like latency or throughput. The next category is load balance routing algorithm. In this, the load balance routing algorithms distribute the traffic evenly across the network to avoid the congestion. So here we can use LBPBR model or LBGR model. This improves the network stability and fairness and reduces the risk of hotspots. The limitations are can be complex to implement, may introduce additional control overhead. The next category is cluster-based routing algorithm. Here we are going to divide the network into clusters with cluster head, which is responsible for inter-cluster communication. Here we can use CBRB or the vehicular hierarchical cluster-based routing. The strengths of these are reduced overhead, improved scalability, and the limitations are cluster head selection, which can be a challenge and may introduce the latency. The next category is QoS aware routing algorithm. Here we are going to consider quality of service metrics such as latency, packet loss, and the bandwidth in routing decision. It ensures the service quality for real-time application, and the limitations are more complex to implement, may not perform well in highly dynamic scenarios. The security-based routing algorithm is the next category in which we focus on the protecting the network from malicious attacks and ensures the data confidentiality. The strengths are enhances the network security, protects against the attacks. Limitations are introduces additional overhead, may affect routing efficiency. The next is multipath routing
Ma'am,
algorithm.
so extremely sorry to interrupt you, but can you please conclude the presentation? We are already past the presentation time and we are running very late. So we can.
Okay, ma'am. Just take 2 minutes.
Okay.
So these are the categories for the strengths and limitations of different types of algorithm. Here we have I have compared for the efficient performance metrics like delay, throughput, packet delivery ratio, and efficiency. So if you go for the comparison, we know that the energy efficient is the current requirement of the VANET network, because for whatever the message we are transferring, for that the vehicles are continuously moving and there is very less amount of energy available, and hence we have to design an energy efficient routing algorithm. So if you go for the energy efficient routing algorithms, they can give the delay which can be vary depending on energy saving strategies, which may be higher if nodes enter in sleep mode. Throughput is moderate. The packet delivery ratio can be affected according to the energy saving strategy of that particular algorithm. And the efficiency is good for this energy efficient routing algorithms. So all the algorithms are compared for this delay, throughput, packet delivery ratio, and efficiency. As per requirement, we need to choose the required type of algorithm, category of algorithm, and in that we have to design the algorithm to get the required outputs. The conclusion is the review of energy efficient routing scheme in VANET highlights the importance of energy conservation in vehicular communication as a whole. Among the various routing algorithm and protocol explored in the study are those that minimize energy consumption and ensure efficient and reliable data transmission within VANET at the same time. So it has been demonstrated that these energy efficient optimal routing schemes leverage techniques such as geographical based routing, prediction based routing, and load balancing routing to optimize route selection and improve the overall performance of the network. So here it has been highlighted that the integration of energy awareness into routing decision is crucial to extend the lifetime of the network and increasing its energy efficiency. These are my references. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your presentation. Now, as all the presentations are done, we'll proceed to the closing ceremony. Ma'am, you may stop sharing your screen now. If there are any questions,
No questions from my side.
okay. So first of all, I sincerely thank all our authors for the excellent presentations and contribution in this session, and all the participants for being a part of this international conference. I hope this session was informative enough. We, on the behalf of the whole team, thank you for the support during the 8th version and the previous 7 versions of the conference. We will be happy to have you in the 9th version in 2025. Now, all the presenters will be getting the digital certificates via email within 2 working days. And further, all the papers have already been forwarded to the Springer. The publication will be live within 6 months. Kindly cooperate with our team. And lastly, I also want to thank our session chair, Dr. Nitin Sakre, for chairing this session.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
A token of appreciation to the chair on the behalf of Team ICTIS 2024 and Global Knowledge Research Foundation and partners. Thank you all for your valuable presence. Now, before leaving the meet, I would want to request everyone to please switch on your cameras. I want to take a quick snapshot of this session. A second. We'll just wait for a few participants to turn on the cameras and then I'll take a snapshot. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Now you may leave the meet.